am I in somebody's computer program? Like, am I living in some type of matrix or some type of hyper advanced simulation?
Real life.
It ain't real life. Just say real life street stars. You know what time it is.
See, my outlook on this is a somber one. Because, you know, I always lived like kind of selfless, you know? And I feel like if I didn't, I wouldn't be in the position I'm in now. Cause this shit is amazing, you know what I'm saying? Like everywhere I go, like motherfuckers love me so much. And then, you know, as I try to study things and open up my mind a lot, you know, I got into like, you know, studying supersymmetry, you know, quantum physics, stuff along those lines. And then there's a guy named Professor James Gates. And as I was studying his research on supersymmetry and equations that come with quantum physics, he was mapping areas of space with these equations. And in these equations, he found error correcting codes. Now, how is that possible that you find error correcting codes in equations from supersymmetry? Error correcting codes only show up in computer language and computer programming. So that right there, you know, he said he had to sit and think like, damn, am I in somebody's computer program? Like, am I living in some type of matrix or some type of hyper advanced simulation? And then, you know, you see guys in Silicon Valley putting up $2 trillion to make a quantum computer that can break out of the simulation. Why are they doing this? And it's like, okay, so that means somebody programmed the karma into this. But if you study history, you know, there are several rulers who murdered millions.
Right.
And they died of old age, rich, with harems of women. What was his karma? It boils down to what you believe, because we all energy. Facts. We could definitely
Never mind, we gonna talk
agree to
about that
disagree, you know?
I had some on
But see, that's what I'm saying. There's so much going on in the world, we can all be right.
Right.
Because our world is built on three things: sound, light, and frequency.
I was gonna say, cause I believe everything can be quantified.
For sure.
So we talking about just energy and karma. Like you was talking about a man died, he had millions of dollars and harems of women, but he probably couldn't even get his dick hard.
He had 400 children.
That Goulet too.
But in the 80s, in your 80s, it ain't, you know, it's over with. You feel me? You eating pussy all night. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, you gotta think about that.
Right. So what my opinion is on it is, I feel like when people get out of there, for instance, like if your pedigree or something, like if you're a lion, right? And when you start doing things that lions don't do, that's where your karma comes from.
Absolutely.
I like that. That's a good theory.
So if you, for instance, say if you're a killer, your karma is not going to come as far, because if that's what you truly are. But if I go out and kill somebody, which I'm not a killer, my karma's coming a little way faster than your karma would ever come.
For sure, because, you know, a killer gonna move a certain way.
Right.
And, you know, like, I said all of these things to say this, like, you know, in order for us to make any type of dent or change in our community, we have to continue thinking. Right. Because the moment we stop thinking, now we become stagnant. And then now that autonomy kicks in and there's no progress being made. So I said all of these things because people always ask me, like, how do we help the community? How do we save the community? The only way to help or save any of our people is to force everyone to continuously think. That's the only way to do it. straight up and down.
What is your thoughts on
Kool-Aid.
Farrakhan and how they erased him from the internet?
Right. So
like just erased him.
when they passed the net neutrality bill from the deep state Democrats, this is one of their plans, because if you study what's going on, first we've seen the Vatican come out and say, non-human intelligence exists. We're all God's creations.
Right.
Then we seen Farrakhan come out and say he's speaking about motherships and he's speaking about wheels. Ezekiel saw the wheel and the wheels that we see in the sky. Once he started speaking about those type of things, and then we looked up and we saw that Islamic nations have bought several thousand acres here in the country, where in these private cities there will be Sharia law.
Right.
And we see that our government was giving the Taliban $87 million a month, the same people that we fought for 20 years. Our government is having an internal civil war, and they're trying to keep certain ideals from growing, because you cannot have any war or fighting force without that ideal, because that's what's going to make everybody fight. So, homegrown terrorism is something that was a concern. And in order to prevent the onset of that, because remember when that guy, black dude, murdered all those police officers in Houston?
Right.
Yeah, they scrubbed it completely off of anywhere.
Right.
From anywhere. Because if people in our community start to have these ideals where they want to enter into martyrdom, the balance of power can be shifted.
I ain't gonna lie.
That's why they scrubbed them from the internet.
I ain't gonna lie, folks. My brother love y'all, folks. Come on. Cause a lot of shit he be talking about, he know he shouldn't.
Yeah, he giving it to us.
I ain't gonna lie, he but we gonna stand on that,
It is.
Yeah.
Shout out Reality Street Stars, nigga. Move it. Hey.